What's up, everybody? Mike from the Gear Choppers channel. Just wanted to give you a little preview of the next project that I'm going to be working on. It is a mini bike that I've had ever since I was 12 years old. So this year I'll be 48 years old, and so I've owned this thing for 36 years. And just an old school little mini bike that I've had ever since I was 12 years old, 1984-ish. Even back then it was old when I bought it. I'm guessing it's probably from the mid-70s, early 70s. But anyway, I spent all summer long mowing yards back in the 80s for $8 a yard. And so saved up $100 at the end of the summer, which $100 in 1984 was the moon. I never thought I would make it to $100 to buy this old mini bike. But anyway, when I first got it had a 3.5 horsepower Tecumseh motor on it. Rode the snot out of that thing down at the end of the street. Lived on a dead-end street down in Houston, and so there was a bayou, canal, whatever you want to call it. Down there they called them bayous, or when we were kids we called it a bayou. So down at the end of the street there was a bayou, and there was a road, a dirt road that ran the length of town that followed that bayou. And so it was basically a trail, or a dirt road for the city to monitor that bayou, for them to drive their city service trucks, that kind of thing down. But it was the only place that we could ride our mini bikes that nobody gave us any problems. We called it the trails. We would go down to the trails. But anyway, so when I was a kid, man, this mini bike was just the ultimate freedom. I rode the snot out of it and just wore that little 3.5 horsepower motor out. And somehow, I don't know how, but man, I've bought and sold cars and motorcycles and things throughout the years. But this is the one thing that I've always kept, never even thought about selling it. I've dragged this thing all the way from Houston up to North Texas, north of Dallas, here where I live now, or I've lived for the past 27, 28 years. Had this thing up here. It's just followed me around my whole life, from house to house, that kind of thing. And I've never once thought of ever getting rid of it. And a few years ago, I put took the old worn out motor off, and I put a 6 horsepower Tecumseh on it. But that was 5 or 6 years ago. Put some new tires on it, that kind of thing. And just wasn't really happy with that Tecumseh engine that is on there. It's a really weird design carburetor. It doesn't have a choke on it. It has like a bulb that you pump on the side of the carburetor, and when you twist the throttle, it doesn't actually actuate anything on top of the carburetor. It doesn't open up a butterfly. I've never really investigated it as to how it works. I've got some friends and just people that I've met through the years that have had that same style carburetor, and they say it is junk. The motor's good, but they say the carburetor is pure junk. So a couple of weeks ago, I went to, let me pull this up here, got on Amazon and just ordered an old school, regular old Tecumseh. Well, it's not a Tecumseh, it's a Chinese one, I'm sure. But it's got the Tecumseh pattern back here, and it's just an old school choke carburetor. So I got to figure out, I'm gonna do some investigating here and figure out how to get this thing to work. I might have to redo the intake manifold, I'm not sure. But anyway, without further ado, let me put that back in a safe place. Let me get the camera here. So let me show you something funny. If you've seen some of my other videos, I had a problem with dropping my camera in oil. I just had it on like a little crappy little stand that actually suction cups to the windshield of my car. So let me give you a preview, or let me give you a shot here of what I've done to alleviate that. I've just been using this little stand here that suctions to my windshield, but it doesn't suction to anything that's not smooth. So got one of my wife's old bowls here, and mounted that down in there, and anyway, so it stands up better. Anyway, so on a side note, I got this Predator engine here. My in-laws gave me a gift certificate for Harbor Freight for Christmas, and so I went and bought this Predator engine, but I'm going to use that for another project. I've got an old, it was like a chopper, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years ago. Every little place was selling these little Chinese-made choppers. But I think I'm going to make a drag bike out of that. It's got a really fat tire in the back, and it's all set up for that. So I think I'm going to use that for that project. But anyway, without further ado, here is my old Scool mini bike that I had, that I've drug around everywhere with me from when I was a kid. Here is that Tecumseh 6 horsepower. Here is that really weird carburetor setup. So what you do is you pump that, and I don't know, it's a weird deal. It seems to start up fine, but after you ride it and shut it off, you can't ever get it started. You got to let it sit for like 30 minutes to an hour before it'll run again. I don't know, maybe somebody knows how to get these things working better. But anyway, there's kind of a chintzy exhaust that I built for it out of some conduit whenever I tried to revive this several years ago, just using the E46 BMW water pump for a kickstand for now, just for this video. But anyway, got the Daily Driver Z3 sitting right out there, so she's running good. But anyway, I really want to take my time, do a several part video of this project, and I want to really give this thing a nice treatment. Like I said, I've had it all these years, so I want to actually do a legitimate paint job on this thing. I want to get this motor running. I don't want to just throw that Predator on there. That's too easy. Like I said, originally it had a Tecumseh engine on it, so I just for my own nostalgic sake, I'd like to keep a Tecumseh on it. Now, it came with a 3.5 horsepower engine. This one is a 6. Whenever I had this thing running the last time when I put that motor on there, you could be rolling just kind of at idle speed and blip that throttle on the street with these tires, and it would lift the front end off the ground. And I weigh about 175 pounds, so anyway, it's plenty fast with this on here. I don't want to put that Predator on there. I want to use that for a different project. But anyway, I want to get some. Now, I haven't started this particular engine here in several years, probably 5-6 years. So I want to see if it'll even fire, see if the ignition is still working, all that sort of thing. So I'm gonna set the camera down and grab some starting fluid and give you a peek of the first start in 5 or 6 years, just with some starting fluid. I've got to put some fresh gas in that tank. I'm not going to do all that right now. I just want to see if it's even going to fire. So stand by. All right, so got the ball / camera mount there going. So I've already taken this off the air cleaner. So I'm going to spray a little starting fluid in here. Let's see this switch here. So there's a switch right there, ignition on. Let's give a little starting fluid. Let's see if it'll fire up. Hopefully it doesn't embarrass me. All right, that is awesome. That thing has not fired in, like I said, 5 or 6 years. So that's a good sign to get things going. All right, so she fired right up. That was just with starting fluid. So I looked in the gas tank earlier. There's some really cruddy looking stuff in there from old gas that's been sitting in there. I want to get some pure fuel, race fuel maybe. It's just something without ethanol in it. I don't know. Maybe I can go up to the, don't live too far from the lake. Maybe I can go up to the marina up there and find some. But anyway, that's it. So this is going to be just part 1, just introducing the project. And then there will be more to come once we get this thing running. I want to get it running, get that carburetor, that other carburetor on there, get all that sorted out, get everything sorted out, and really, I don't want to say do a professional build, but really do a nice build on this, give it its due, get everything running, get any little thing fabricated that I need to get fabricated for it, and then break it all down, put a nice paint job on it. Not a rattle can, I want to do a nice paint job on it. And like I said, this is something I've had ever since I was a kid. The one thing that stayed with me mechanical, car, motorcycle wise through all the years. So I really want to finally do that thing some justice and get her fixed up nice. So anyway, like, subscribe, share, appreciate it. Follow me on Instagram at Gear Choppers, on Instagram at Miss Zoe Chihuahua. So anyway, we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. See you soon.